Hi, it's Alexis. Welcome back to this new video. In today's video, I'm gonna share with you something huge, something massive. It's the secrets as whether your ex will come back to you. It's crazy. I shouldn't actually publish that publicly. But anyway, I'm very transparent. I'm here to help you. So I'm gonna share with you those actually two things that will help you know whether she or he will come back with you. The first one is the theory of the loan or bank mortgage, whatever. I'll explain you. And there's a relation with a love relationship. When you go to your bank and ask for a mortgage or loan or whatever, the banker will look at your file and look whether you paid all your bills on time, whether you have some income, everything that basically would give you a sort of a credit score, right? And they do that because if they loan you money, it's because the assumption or the basis of that theory is that the way you behaved in the past will tell me how you will behave in the future. So if you fail at paying your bills for the last 10 years, I'm not going to give you money because I can't trust you, right? If you were paying everything on time, you have a steady job, you can see that there's no gap in your employment, all these kind of things, then I gain trust and I know what to expect. It is the same in relationship. I'll explain you. You will see patterns with your ex every time things would repeat. Give you a typical example. I had a client, Sarah. She got dumped by her ex after 1 year. And she didn't understand why. And we thought of look at the relationship and the history of her ex. And we realized that her ex never had a steady relationship or never had a relationship more than 6 months. Every time after 6 months, he would break up with his partner. And so we investigated and realized that it's because he's very scared of being engaged with someone and have a steady relationship because his parents had divorced and now he doesn't really trust couple. And so if you look at just her being dumped after the 1 year, it's actually a good performance because they stayed together 6 months in the usual relationship. So she stayed twice more than the others. But then it's not so much about her, it's about him understanding his background, where he came from, to understand that actually what triggered the breakup was something due to his childhood. So in other words, always try to think whether it's coming from the parents, the education, past relationships. All these kind of things will help you diagnose why there was a breakup. And from that point, you can act upon it to fix it. So that's the first thing. And I'm going to give you other examples at the end, but that's the first thing. Think of the mortgage theory. What has happened in the past would likely happen in the future, and what is happening to you is actually something that had I'd say that was triggered before, so not necessarily from you. The second thing is the motivation of the couple. So when you get with someone, there's an initial motivation. So it's the honeymoon phase, as we call it. But in this honeymoon phase, there's also the why are we together? Are we together because we are having fun together? We're together because we like to travel. We are together if we're older because we want to buy a house. All these kind of things. But with time, things change. Let's say you got together because you were big travelers and wanted to travel the world. Now you're a bit older, you have kids, you travel less, and therefore there's a disconnect between what where you started your relationship and where you are now. And this disconnect, if the gap is bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, could be the cause of the breakup, is a cause of a breakup. So some people, some of my clients, usually women clients, where their husband have their middle life crisis, they think, okay, it's the middle life crisis. It's just because over time, maybe the motivation, the intrinsic motivation of the couple is not there anymore. And you could think, yeah, it's a middle life crisis, when in reality it's just that because what he paid for, let's say you go to a car dealer, you pay for a car, but at the end of the day, you buy a Ferrari and then, well, it doesn't go very fast, or the image is really bad. Or you pay for a truck, but actually you can't put anything in the truck. At the beginning, your motivations were there, aligned. Over time, they might have spaced up, or there's a gap between them. Your job is to realize what were these motivations. If you really want to fix that relationship, maybe it's time for you to work on yourself and say, oh yeah, sure, we said we would travel, I'll make some time to travel. Whether it's, I don't know, things we were meant to do together, promises that we couldn't keep because of time or other constraints and stuff, to really try to get the motivations closer together and have that discussion with your partner around what he expected or she expected from the beginning of the relationship. And you'll see that's natural. It's totally natural, because as we grow in life, things change, motivations change, but sometimes we tend to forget that the intrinsic motivation, the initial motivation, is still there. And this motivation is also the one that fueled the fire in the relationship. So always be mindful of that, because if you forget that aspect of your relationship, the danger is that you're going to create a massive gap. And this gap would basically break everything. So motivation is extremely important. Think of what you could do differently. It's an opportunity for you to change, and maybe, think of how you were before. It's always a good way to feel younger. If you're old like me, well, I'm not super old, but anyway. So these were the two things. Remember, think about the past always. So don't. I'm not saying you should get a private detective, but investigate on the past. And you will tend to see that people lie or hide things from their past. Think of it as, you don't want people to see your brother's history. It's the same with the relationship. Sometimes people will tell you, I want to break up with you because you work too much. I had that case before. And you investigate, and actually the reason is not because the person is working too much, it's just because they were about to move in together, and the person said, oh yeah, it freaks out the person because she was scared of engagement. But then you can approach the things differently and offer alternative solutions. Okay, maybe you're freaking out of us moving together. We can still be together, but living in separate apartments, and grow from there. Trying to understand their perception of life, their beliefs, and work with them, not in a direct way. Don't say, oh yeah, I know your fear of engagement because your father left you when you were 3. Don't say that, of course, but use approaches or tactics to get with that conversation for the person to let you explain what she feels about it. And usually people use a smoke mirror. It would say something that's totally irrelevant. That might be something that they don't like about you, or that stress them out. But that's not the real reason. They'll say you work too much, or you don't spend enough time with me, or whatever. You could be different things like, you don't say I love you enough, you don't listen, you don't do housework, all these kind of things. But sometimes, and I'd say majority of the case, if you investigate, there's another reason. There's another reason coming from the childhood, the education, everything that constructed their belief system that made the decision of breaking up. And the second thing is motivation. It's a great way for you to analyze and diagnose your relationship and what was before, what was the intrinsic motivation, and how you can get back with this motivation. So these were the two things you can analyze today to see whether there's any chance for you to get back with your ex. Please feel free to comment, like the video. I love like buttons. I have also prepared some great links at the bottom of the video. If you're watching on your mobile phone, there's a little arrow, so you click there. There's a few links for you to get some additional help for free, totally free. Feel free to get in touch if you have any other questions. Feel free to comment, feel free to get in touch, and I'll see you next time.